All right, hi everyone, it's Mrs. Kushner, and I'm so excited for us to use a new app. If you can go to self-service, and what I want you to find is Adobe Creative Cloud. So if you'll see, mine is on the second line here, and it looks like a red icon with the cloud. So you can go ahead and click on that to install. And once it installs, it's going to look like this, just to show you the Creative Cloud. I'm going to click that one time. So continue with Adobe ID, and we've done this before, but you'll use your 6-digit number at district65.net, and as you know, it's going to have you log in 3 times, and then you'll be good to go. It'll save your ID, so you don't have to keep doing that. So I'm going to very quickly do this. I'm not going to leave it running for the video because I know that you have experience with this. We'll click company or school account. That's important. And then here you'll click organizational. And now we're logged on. What you'll notice, this is really cool. If you were downloading any Adobe apps on a computer, if you have a computer at home and you wanted to do that, you can download it to your home computer and then use these tutorials to figure it out. Like if you've never used Photoshop or Lightroom and you want to play with it. So a lot of these are tutorials for your computer. There might be some iPad ones here. So that's just a cool thing. I'm going to show you a different tab below. So if you look on the very bottom right now in blue, it says tutorials. I want you to skip over to fonts. And what we're going to do today is choose a font or multiple fonts that we're going to install. And once we install it from here, these are going to show up in Photoshop so that when we create our text, you can customize the font to go with the mood of what you're trying to communicate. So just like in our first tutorial when I had you create a background and I said, pick a color that goes with the mood of what you're trying to show, you want to do the same thing with your font. All right, so just kind of scrolling through these different fonts. There's so many different ones. Your main goal before you download any font is to make sure that it's clear and easy to read, because the point of having text in your project in the first place is that people can read it. And you'll get to change the size and the spacing and things like that. But right now we're just picking a style. So depending on what your topic is, if you look, a lot of these like Fong Lauren, Term 10, these are just kind of generic fonts. If I click install, you see it's going to download it. And it might take a couple minutes to download, so be patient. Okay, and then it's going to ask you, do you want to install fonts? And you will say, yes, install. And there it goes. So now it's installed. So if I look at my Photoshop, when we start with text, it'll say Term 10. And that font will look like this, okay? So that's kind of a generic font. But as I go through, I want to think really about what my message is, right? And so like this cursive one to me is kind of serious. And so if you're talking about something serious, maybe we want to talk, for instance, about climate change. A lot of you are talking about like rapid changes and that we need to be a little more conscious of our habits. So that to me looks like something is moving quickly, this kind of font. Something over here that's a little bit more jagged. So this one, if I had to describe this font, it's a little more artistic, a little bit more jagged, a little more uneven. Okay, so you talk about some kind of feelings where, you know, changes are happening. This might be a kind of font like that. And just really different looks, right? So thinking about what kind of look will go best with your topic. And you could spend so long just looking through these. There's so many cool ones. So I encourage you to really spend some time and dig in and just find some fonts that are interesting to you and that you think will communicate your ideas. This font over here, Salvation, is kind of interesting. It looks like ink. It looks like somebody stamped it on, or like watercolor. And going back to this idea of global warming, if we think about like ice melting, to me this looks like something is melting, right? Something is fading away. So if you're trying to communicate that idea of like decay, that would be a good font for that, right? So thinking about the ideas behind the fonts, right? Like how the style might communicate is your goal.